All right, let's dive into something really interesting today. What if small organizations, your local NGOs and small businesses, could actually prove they're trustworthy without the crushing cost and complexity of big enterprise security? Well, that's exactly what the OHID pilot program is all about, and we're going to break down how it works.
So, right off the bat, here's the fundamental problem, right? Small businesses and nonprofits are under constant pressure to prove their cybersecurity is up to snuff. But the tools that big corporations use, they're totally out of reach. They're crazy expensive, they're invasive, they're just built for a different universe. So, what do? How do you possibly bridge that gap?
And this really just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the enterprise world, constant surveillance, agents on every machine, just a mountain of complexity and cost. But on the other side, you have the reality for NGOs and small businesses. They have limited resources, they need to stay focused on their mission, and protecting privacy is absolutely critical. You can see right away, the old way just isn't going to work for them. It's a total non-starter. Okay, so this is where OID steps in, and it completely flips the script on how we approach this. The whole idea is to create trust that is verifiable, not trust that's based on invasive, constant surveillance. First things first, let's get super clear on what OID is not. This is not some big brother system watching your every move. It's not a security operations center, it's not a SIEM collecting endless logs, and it is definitely not a user monitoring platform. This isn't about surveillance, it's about proof.
So, if it's not surveillance, what is it? Well, the whole concept is built around something called verifiable trust. The best way to think about it is like a digital notary. Instead of constantly watching over your shoulder, it provides a tamper-proof mathematical stamp that says, yep, they're doing what they say they're doing. It's all about proving you're following the rules with math, with cryptography, not by spying on people.
So here's the gist of it. OID looks at your governance, your security policies, and it creates cryptographic proof that you're sticking to them. Over time, all this proof builds up into a verifiable, undeniable history of your actions. And pay attention to what's not on that list, because this is the important part. It's not collecting your private data. It's not watching your users. This is all about building trust, not a surveillance machine. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts, the how. How does this system of verifiable trust actually work for these organizations on a day-to-day basis? So let's peek under the hood for a second. At its heart, the system is like a chain of digital dominoes. Every time you do something important, like update a security policy, it gets recorded and locked in as a block. That block is then mathematically linked to the one before it, creating this secure, unbreakable chain of evidence. The beauty of this is that anyone can come along and check the math. They can see for themselves that nothing's been messed with. And the actual workflow? It's surprisingly straightforward. First, the system generates what's called a trust snapshot. Basically, a picture of all your governance documents at that exact moment. Then, you cryptographically sign that snapshot to create a tamper-proof trust report. From there, you can compare two of these reports to create a trust diff, which is amazing for showing progress. And finally, you publish this tiny, minimal piece of proof to a public registry, without exposing any of your sensitive data, of course. Okay, so you've got this super secure chain of evidence, you have these reports, but how do you actually make sense of it all? How do you use it? Well, this is where a tool called NotebookLM comes into play. Think of it as the central nervous system or the intelligent interface for all this trust data. You see, inside NotebookLM, every single one of those trust artifacts, your policies, your reports, all that evidence, it's all right there. It's searchable. You can ask it questions, and you can trace everything back to its source. And that is a game changer. Suddenly, when the board or an auditor or grant reviewer asks one of those really tough questions, the answer isn't buried in 1,000 emails. It's right there, it's instant, and it's verifiable. This really gets to a core belief of this whole project. If a question about your security can't be answered from this verifiable knowledge base, then as far as OID is concerned, it doesn't count as trust. It's a really bold line in the sand, right? It redefines what real transparency and accountability should look like. All right, let's talk about the payoff. This all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually mean for these organizations day to day? What are the real-world results? And this is such a key idea to grasp. Trust isn't just a snapshot in time. It's not like passing a test once. It's a history. It's all about building that long-term, verifiable track record that proves you're consistently doing the right thing. That's where real, lasting confidence comes from. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. So a grant funder needs proof that you're responsible? No problem. You just hand them a verifiable trust pack. An auditor is asking for evidence for a SOC 2 report. The system spits out a ready-made appendix, saving you weeks of headaches. The board wants to know how things are going. You show them a crystal-clear trust diff report that shows improvement. Basically, you're giving every single stakeholder exactly what they need, the precise proof they asked for without all the usual pain and hassle. Now, you might have noticed this pilot as well. Pretty small. And that's completely on purpose. The whole philosophy here is to start small, to get the foundation absolutely solid, and to build this thing the right way, so that the program can scale responsibly without ever losing sight of those core values of privacy and verifiable trust.
And really, this is the one big idea that just wraps everything up. OHID isn't asking these organizations or anyone else to just take their word for it. It's not about trusting them. Instead, it's giving these organizations a tool to create mathematical proof that anyone in the world can check and verify for themselves. It flips the whole script on trust. And that leaves you wondering, what would a world built on verifiable trust look like for all of us?